Hello and welcome to this YouTube tutorial. In this video we are going to be taking a look at how to create an audio player. So I will make sure to have a demo up here. We will be able to click the record button and then record some audio, then stop the recording and listen back to that recording, and we will be able to make multiple recordings, so not just one but multiple ones. So that's what we're up to in this first part of the video, and then there will be a second part to this video where we are taking a look at how to create multiple recordings. In this video we're just going to take a look at how to create the recording function, how we can record some audio. So we're going to head over to our most beloved Xcode, and we are going to start by creating a new Xcode project. I'm going to make this a single view application and just call it audio rec. Next, and then I'm going to save it on my desktop. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to head over to our view controller, where we're going to import some stuff and add some delegates that we're going to need later on. So let's just start by importing our AV foundation. Stands for Audio Video Foundation, and lets us use audio and video in our app, which in this case is very useful because we want to record audio and also play it back. So that's why we're going to need that. Then we're also going to add a delegate, which is AV Audio Recorder Delegate. This is going to allow us to record some audio, and then we are also going to create two variables now that we're added, so that two variables that we're going to need later on. And the first variable is named recording session, and it's going to be of type AV audio session. Audio session, and then I'm just going to make this not an optional, but this is a variable that we're going to use, hence I'm just using the exclamation mark there. Then I'm going to also create one that's named audio recorder. Recorder, let's see, there we go, and this is going to be of type AV audio recorder. So this is going to be our audio recording session, and then this is going to be our audio recorder responsible for recording our audio, which the name implies. Now what we're going to do is we're going to head over to, let's see what we're going to do first. Actually, we're going to head over to our info.plist file first, because here we're going to need to do some fun stuff, because we want to access the microphone of the user. Hence, we're going to ask for permission in order to do that. So that's what we're going to do here in our info.plist. You just click plus wherever you like, and then you type in privacy. And then we're going to say microphone usage description. So just make sure that you type it exactly like that. And here we're going to ask the user for permission. Can I use the mic ? So here we go. Here we have set up our description. And now we're going to head over to our view controller, and we are going to ask for permission. So when the app launches the first time, we're going to ask the user for permission, and that's why we're going to write this in our view did load function. But first we need to create our session, or set up our session. Setting up session, and that's no problem because we already have the variable. So all we need to do is say recording session, and then just feed it with something, and we're going to set it as an AV audio session shared instance. So now we have initialized our recording session, and we can now ask for permission. AV audio session, let's see, audio session shared instance request record permission. Actually, we can just go with that one. We don't need to do anything, we can use this one. Just to show how you do this. Here you will get a boolean in return, true or false, if you were declined or accepted. We can name this has permission, and then you can do some checking here. If has permission, then we can just print accepted. So now we have been accepted and we have permission to use the audio recording device, which is awesome. So now we have done all this. We have first of all created our two variables, our recording session and our audio recorder. We have also asked the user for permission if you can use their microphone. And next step is going to be to provide the user with a button that he or she can press in order to start the audio recording and stop it. So that's what we're going to do now by heading over to our storyboard. And then we are going to find a button and we are just going to drag it in here. I'm going to place it in the middle. We're going to change this location probably in the second part of this video, but for right now this will do. And I can just name it start recording, and then I'm going to connect it to my view controller. Just select your button, control drag, so hold down control and then drag it over. I'm just going to drag it there, make sure that it's an outlet, and I'm just going to name it button label, connect it up. So now it's just as an outlet so that we can change its properties, change the text of the label from start recording to pause recording. And then we're also going to import it as an action. So let's drag it in here. And then I'm going to make it an action. So each time the user presses that button, we're going to trigger a certain action. That action can be named record. I'm going to connect it up. And here we have our function that is going to be performed each time our user presses that button. So now we have set up our button. Great. Now we can head back over to our view controller and we are going to do some stuff here. Actually, I'm just going to remove this so that we don't get confused, because we're not going to use that function in this video. Instead, I'm going to create two functions that we're going to need. Function that gets path to directory, where we're going to save our audio recordings. So this function we are going to call in order to get the path to the directory where we're going to save our recordings. That's why I'm going to name this function get directory, and it's going to return an URL just like that. And then we can just write out our function here. So I'm just going to write it out, and then I'm going to quickly explain it afterwards. It's just a three-liner, not a tree-liner, but a three-liner. So it's not going to be too much coding. We're just going to first of all define a constant named path, which is going to be file manager .default .urls, and we're going to use for .documents directory in here in user domain mask. Then we're also going to define a constant named document directory, and this is going to be equal to path, and we're going to use the first one, which means we have to put in a 0, and then we are going to return documents directory. So basically what we're doing here is we're searching for all the URLs in our documents directory, and then we simply take the first one as our path, and then we are returning the URL to that document directory, and then we now have the URL to the directory in which we're going to save our audio recording. So we're basically, if you imagine a huge library, we're basically finding the path or the location where we want to store our stuff, and we're taking, and we get a number of options. We're just going to pick the first one, and then we are returning that as the path for where, or the box in which we're going to store all our audio recordings. So that's basically what we're doing here. And then we're also going to need a function that displays an alert, because we're going to need to display some alerts to our user if something goes wrong. So hence we are going to create a function named display alert, and it's going to take two arguments, one with the name title, which is going to be a string, and a second one with the name message, which also is going to be a string. So here we have our function, and now we're just going to define an alert, and it's going to be equal to a UI alert controller, and this UI alert controller is going to take a title, which is simply our title that we which is our first argument. So when we call this function, we're going to provide it with a title and a message, and we're going to take those two and then use them in order to define our alert. So here, message, and then preferred style, I'm just going to go with alert, not action sheet, but let's see, an alert. Just going to type it out, and then we are going to add an action, alert.add action, and it's really not that important what we call this. It's just so the user has something to do here. UI alert action, and then we are just going to give it the title dismiss, and style is going to be default. Handler, we don't really need anything here. We just want to display messages, so we don't need too much interaction here. And then we are going to present it. Present. Let's see. Let's first give it another one of these, and then I think we will have an easier time. Present. Let's see. There we go. And the view controller that we want to present is our alert, and then animated true. And completion, we don't need to do some fancy stuff after we have displayed the alert, so I'm just setting that to nil. Okay, great job so far. We have now defined our functions. We have set it up so that we now only have to implement the function that will record the audio. We have where we want to store it. We have some alert displayings, and now we just want to be able to record audio, which is the whole purpose of this application. So let's take a look at how we do that. Well, we first head over to our record function, and what we're going to do is we're going to go step by step and just make sure that everything is clear. But it's actually a pretty straightforward process, as you will see. So let's just go through it, and then we'll take a look at how we do this. So first we're going to check if we have an active recorder. So we're first going to check if we are actually already recording audio. We do that by checking if audio recorder is not equal or is equal to nil, which means that we don't have an active audio recorder. Basically, that means we're not recording audio, so now it's time to start recording some. And what we're going to do is we are going to create another variable, which I'm going to name number of records, which is going to be equal to 0 for now. And then when we start recording a new audio, we simply say number of record plus, here's a plane. Let's just wait for the plane to pass. Number of records plus equals 1. Now you will see why this is useful when in the next part, when we start to record where we store multiple of recordings. So we give each recording a number in order to keep track of that recording. But for now, this isn't too important, but we're just implementing it now so that we have it in place for the next video. So we basically say number of records and then plus equals 1 in order to take number of records plus 1. Now we are going to define a file name for this new recording. And this is going to be very easy because we already because we already have a function that gets our directory path. So all we need to do really is say get directory, and then we can simply say .append path component, and the component that we want to append is a string, or actually a number. So let's just do like this so that we can convert our number to a string. And we simply want number of records and then .m4a. Now let's just take a look at what we did here. We basically got the path to our directory, so the general path to our box in the library. And then we are giving this specific recording, the recording that we're starting right now, a name so that we can refer to it and give it a specific path where we can save it. So basically we're taking this general path, the path to the directory, and then we're adding the name of the record, which in this case basically is 1, and then we're adding .m4a, which is the format that we're going to store the recording in. So that's the name, or that's the path to this audio recording that we're now going to record. But before we record it, we just want to define some settings. So let's create a constant named settings, which is going to be an array actually, which is going to contain all of our settings. So we can now say audio video format ID key, which is going to be an integer with, and in here we're going to write k audio, audio format, and I think we're going to go with mpeg, format mpeg, mpeg for AAC, which is actually the first one here. Awesome. And then we are going to define the sample rate, AV sample rate key, which is going to be, let's set it to 12,000. Then we're going to define the number of channels, AV number of channels key, which is going to be 1. And then one last, or actually I think we're going to need, and then we are going to need AV encoder, encoder, let's get some more space here, AV encoder, encoder audio quality key, and we are going to go for highest quality, which is AV audio quality dot high dot raw value. So basically these are the settings that we are going to need for now. We're defining the format we want it in, the sample rate, the number of channels, which is simply 1, and then the quality we want it in, which I'm just going to set to high. Why not go for some high quality? And that's what we're doing. So now we have all the settings. We have the name or the path where we're going to save our audio recording. So now everything is basically set up for us to start recording some audio. So why not do that? So here we're going to start audio recording. And the way we do that is we're going to need a do and a catch in order to perform this, because we're going to try to do something. And here we're going to initialize our audio recorder. So this is the variable that is responsible for recording the audio, and that's the one that we're going to initialize right now. Audio recorder, and we're going to is equal to try, and we're going to set AV audio recorder, and then we are going to give it the URL and and the settings we just defined. So this makes it very simple. The URL is of course our file name, and then the settings is just the settings that we defined. So we're referring back to our constant name settings here. So now we have given it the URL where we want to save it, the settings for the recording, and now we're going to add a delegate. AV audio recorder dot delegate is equal to self, and then because we added this one, we can simply set it to self, and then we can start recording. Audio recorder dot record, simple as that. And if that doesn't work, we can actually do one more thing before we head on, and that is to set the button label dot set title, and the new title we can then set it to is stop recording for UI control state dot normal. So basically, when we have started the recording, we want to change the label or the text of the button to stop recording, to show the user that we're actually recording something and he can now stop it. And then we are going, if that doesn't work, we can display our alert, and we name that function display alert. Simple and easy. Display alert, and the title can be oops, exclamation mark, recording failed. So basically something went wrong and we're telling the user that. So now we have all the functions, all the commands in place in order to record the audio. But what if we already have an audio session going? So basically here we're checking if we have an active audio recorder. We did not, it was equal to nil, so we started recording some audio. But if it's not equal to nil, that means that we are basically in this moment recording some audio. And in that case, we want to stop the audio recording. So that's what we're doing here. Stopping audio recording. And the way we do that is we simply give it a nice and simple command, .stop. Pretty self-explanatory there. And then we are going to set our audio recorder to nil. And then we are going to set back the button label, .set title, and we're going to set it back to the default text, which was record, I guess, or was it start? I'm just going to quickly check here. What did we name it? Start recording. So that's what we're going to write here also. Start recording. And for control state .normal. Let's see. There we go. Okay, now we should have everything in place. Let's click on launch and we're going to launch our application. So basically what we have done now is we are now able to record audio. As we will see, we will be able to press the record button. The device will record some audio, and when we click stop, it will stop the recording. Now we don't have a way to listen back to that recording yet. That's what we're going to take a look at in part 2. But in this video, we just want to make sure that we are recording the audio and that part is working. And then we're going to listen back to those recording in the next video. So here it is. I'm just going to click on start recording. And we are recording audio. You just have to trust me on that right now. And then I'm clicking stop recording. And we have recorded something. So that was it for part 1 of this tutorial. In the next part of this series, in the second part that is, we are going to take a look at how to make multiple audio recordings. So we're going to not only make one, but we're going to have multiple audio recordings and store it in a nice table view, and then be able to select the recording that we want to listen to, and then be able to listen back to that recording. So that's what's coming up. Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure that you click the subscribe button so that you stay tuned for part 2 of this video series. Thank you for watching, and I will see you back in part 2.